We have to get started because we don't want to run out of time for the next session. So thank you for coming. This is the security session. My name is Cheryl. I'm from APNIC, and I'll be moderating for this session. Now, usually in security track, we bring in experts in the security community to speak about trends and initiatives that is helping us keep the internet secure and safe. So this is actually put together by our security specialist, Adli Wahid. So a big shout out to him wherever he is now. Today, we're fortunate to have a good lineup of four speakers. John Crain from ICANN, Foy Shiver, and George Vila, sorry, I mispronounced your name again, from APWG, and Kitisak from EJ in Thailand. So there will be time for you to ask questions after each presentation. So please approach the mic when you do have them. So with that, I'd like to call our first speaker, John Crain, who will be talking to us about the use of identifiers for misuse and abuse.
Okay, thank you very much. Everybody awake? Okay, good. I'm going to try not to go too fast, but we are going to try and catch up some time here. So my name is John Crain. I'm the Chief SSR Officer at ICANN. Security, Stability, and Resiliency. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what people sometimes mean when they talk about identifier abuse. So this is what people often think of. They think of the systems that have actually been compromised rather than a problem with the identifiers. To me, an identifier is any of those technical identifiers we use on the internet, domain names, IP addresses, autonomous system numbers, enterprise numbers. There are many, many different identifiers. So for example, you'll see a lot of sites that have been compromised and may actually just have URIs, directory structures put behind them that are used for things like phishing. Sometimes the machines are turned into mail relays for spam, pharma, etc. These are very common, and I'll let these gentlemen talk more about phishing, etc. later. I'm not going to get into the details of them. But they are very, very common. So I looked this morning, I thought, oh, let's do some stuff in Indonesia. So I found 38,000 pages of pharma sites. Pharma sites are places selling illegal drugs just inside the academic networks inside Indonesia. And then I found a couple of hack sites. Here's one for one of the jurisdictions or one of the towns in Indonesia that the Lebanese ghosts have taken over. This stuff happens all the time. Now, I have a team of people that are looking at abuse of the identifiers all the time, but this isn't really what we mean. Okay, we do look at this and we help people with this, but this is not where our main concern is. What we do see and what we look at is when things are becoming more systematic, when problems are starting to affect the system. So something that we've been seeing a fair bit of lately is something called domain shadowing. This is basically somebody breaking into your domain registration account. So if you have a domain name and you have a registrar and you can log into a website to change things, what they do is they create a bunch of subdomains. So instead of mycompany.co.id, they'll have random characters.mycompany.co.id, and then they'll use those for nefarious purposes. That's quite common. We also see a lot of names that are registered purely for fraud. Whether that's registering a name that looks like the name of another company, or whether it's registering some random name and then just putting up websites that are looking like some other company, like banks, etc. Now, the only purpose for those registrations is really to do bad things. That's also quite common. And then another area that we spent a lot of time on over the last 5 or 6 years is what we call domain generation algorithms. So if you're familiar with botnets and botnet control, every machine that's been infected needs to be given commands. And one of the ways they do this is using a often very random domain name or random looking domain name to go and reach out to from the compromised machine and say, give me my latest commands. These names change every day, and they are generated by a piece of code that will generate the same name on the compromised machine and the names that are known by the bad guys. So they'll go and try and register one or two of these names, and they can get into command and control. Sometimes we see these registering tens of thousands of names, or wanting to use tens of thousands of names every day, so they can be quite complex. You know, you may have heard of things like Conficker, CryptoLocker, Game Over Zeus. These are all common malware, and they all use domain names as part of their command and control, and they all use these DGAAs, and there are many, many other variants of malware out there that are using the identifiers to enable their abuse. The other thing that we're very concerned about is attacks actually against the system. DDoS. Everybody here, if you work at an ISP, you probably worry about DDoS, distributed denial of service attacks. Obviously, those also happen against the registry infrastructure. So that's worrying. The interesting thing, especially with DNS registries and the resolution system, not only do they get attacked, but they're also part of the attack infrastructure. We do something, or the bad guys do something called reflective DDoS. We send a query from a few 100,000 machines to, say, LRoot, which is one of the root servers, and then spoof the return address. So all the queries may come from thousands or tens of thousands of machines, but the actual answers will all go back to the poor guy who's being attacked. So not only do we get attack traffic, but we're also generating attack traffic back towards other people. It's quite problematic. And in the IP space, there is, of course, route hijacking and route injection attacks. So not all of this nefariousness is happening in the domain name space. Things also happen in the IP space. So the question is, what do we do about it? What is our role? As I said, we have a small group that I lead. I have 6 people, and we do various things to try and help the situation. And we break those down into 4 areas, and I'll go through each one. The first thing we do is we are very active in what we call threat awareness. If you want to solve problems, you've got to be aware of problems. So me and my staff spend a lot of time on mailing lists and teleconferences, talking to people, basically, finding out what's going on, what's the latest attack type, who is seeing what. We also pass on threat intelligence. If we know that somebody's going to be attacked, then we'll pass on that information to them. Or if we know there's a new common type of attack against the systems, we will then try and educate people about that. Occasionally, we also participate in response to threats. For example, the botnets, the stuff that's DGA related, that takes a lot of coordination between various players in the industry, and what I and my staff will do is bring people together to do that. Another side of what we do, which is very closely related, is analytics, research. Trying to measure things on the internet, looking at traffic patterns, looking at abuse patterns. There's a lot of people out there collecting data on abuse, and we try and analyze it, and we're looking for patterns. We're trying to figure out what the next threat is, if there are solutions to the current threats. More importantly than doing research and being aware is something that we call trust-based collaboration. The only way we're going to solve abuse on the internet, be that of identifiers of other things, is through collaboration, working together. So we spend a lot of time, as I said, doing the threat awareness, but a lot of that is also collaboration, working with people. We have a group inside ICANN called Global Stakeholder Engagement. If any of you met Champika, he works for that group. And those are the people that are reaching out around the globe trying to get people involved, and we spend a lot of time talking to them in various countries and collaborating, helping them understand the issue, and hopefully helping them solve part of the issue. We're constantly involved in abuse issues and misuse issues of the type that I discussed. When people don't know where to go, they end up coming to us, and then hopefully we can find somewhere else to send them. We only have 6 people, but we do have a lot of calls from people for help. And that's not just end users, that's governments, that's ISPs, it's registries, it's law enforcement. You know, there's not really a good place for these people to go, especially if they don't have local certs and security communities to turn to. So often they'll turn to us. I don't know why, but they do. And rather than tell them just to go away, what we do is we try and partner them up with the right people. The other thing that we look at is all the policies around identifiers that we see, and also new technologies when they come up, and look for possible problems in the future. Looking for the unintended consequences of policy changes. Looking at how deploying new technologies may affect things. You know, for example, we have things like DNSSEC that is an up-and-coming technology, but it brings with it some other problems. Complexity of operations, fragility in the system if you don't do it right. So those are the kind of things we look at. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast here, but we're trying to gain some time so that we can all go for dinner early. The biggest area where we work is what we call training, capability building. I and my team spend many days on the road giving education and training and knowledge transfer to people in the industry and also to those outside the industry. So what we were doing here earlier in the week was working with CCTLDs, country code top-level domain operators, on how to build more resilient systems, how to become a resilient registry. So we give them training on security, we give them training on operational matters, and then we give them training on new technologies. Now, a lot of the time, we actually partner with other people in this. And we do very similar trainings also for the law enforcement community. Obviously, we do this for ICANN staff because they need to learn this. And basically, for anybody where we think they can actually make a difference in the system. You know, if we were going to talk about routing, IPv6, we will partner with the regional internet registries. If we're talking about issues around malware and phishing, we may partner with APWG or something called Morg. We're members of many of these organizations. And what we try to do is try to improve the system, not individual parts, but the system as a whole, by reaching out and doing as much knowledge transfer as we can. The internet is a great thing, but anything you can do for good on the internet, people also do for bad. And a lot of the time they actually threaten the underlying system. We need the system to be stable so that people can do business on it, so that people can have trust in it. And I and my team spend a lot of time trying to work on solutions with other people for that. With that, I think I've saved you a little bit of time. And I think we'll take questions at the end. And so thank you, everybody. I'm going to be here, and I think I'm going to allow Cheryl to hand over.
Okay, thank you very much for that, John. Yeah, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. So now for our next speaker, well, speakers. We have Shiver and Jorge Vila. Did I pronounce it right now? They will be speaking about phishing trends and collaborative efforts. Foy is Deputy Secretary General of the Anti-Phishing Working Group, so APWG. I will probably let them discuss more about what APWG is, if you don't know.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, so my name is Shiver. No offense, I've been called a lot worse than Shiver, believe me. So this is kind of a new crowd, our first time to APNIC meetings. So I just want to take a few slides to talk a little bit about who and what APWG is, and Jorge's going to talk a little bit about the European Foundation we just set up. But APWG we've set up in 2003. It was Dave Jevons, Peter Cassidy, myself, and a couple other guys got together, thought, hey, let's see if we can't fix this phishing problem, and then in a few months we'll go find something else to do with our lives. We're still working on that. But the whole idea was just to see if we could make a difference. Now, over the years, we've evolved from the anti-phishing working group to APWG because we've expanded a lot over what we do. So we do a lot of data collecting and analyzing and then reporting back out that on trends. We've got several different reports we do several times a year. Currently, we've got a little over 2,000 members, and these come from a breadth of different companies and organizations. Kind of listed out here some different types of groups we work with, but I won't go into a lot of detail, just justified to say that it's most of the powers that be in the internet industry. We're probably working with them at some stage, and somebody in their organization is a member and comes to our meetings and collaborates with us. We focus on a few major areas here. We're going to mostly spend our time today looking at the data logistics part, but mentioned we do a lot of tracking trends and activities. We've got the phishing trends report we put out 4 times a year. We've also got our DNS report that we put out twice a year, where we take a lot of our data, our members get together, we look at statistics, and then we report out on the different trends. These are available for download on our website. If you're interested, please go download them. With the time we've got, I'm not going to sit here and go through the top 10 things we're seeing. Trusted to be the biggest trends we see is phishing is still a problem, and it's still the hook that they use to get into most organizations. All the major attacks we've seen, break-ins we've seen over the last 18 months, we've got a lot of press. Every one of them went back to a phishing email that somebody clicked on and they filled in they shouldn't have. We also do a lot of research. We work a research program. It's a peer-reviewed program. We publish the papers through the IEEE every year. We just announced today the call for papers for the eCrime 2016. It'll be in Toronto the first week of June. It has 2 tracks, one strictly research and one is industrial. If you're doing some research in the field, anything related to electronic crime, go give it a look-see. You don't have to be a student to submit a paper. If you know or work with some universities who are doing a lot of research or doing some work in this field, please point them to the site and let's get them involved. The accepted papers, we will fly the major speaker, author in for each paper. They get up in front of the industry, Microsoft, Google, Symantec, ICANN, all these groups will be there and they get to present their work. And quite a few of them end up getting jobs out of this process. So encourage them, if they're doing any type of research related to electronic crime, they should look at our program. We do a lot of policy advice. Within our members, we've got a strong group, a lot of smart people. So we work with ICANN to talk about policy. We advise DHS, the EU, a lot of different groups globally. We do a lot of user awareness. I'll bring that up in just a second, and the data logistics. So kind of in a bucket. It's a lot of stuff that we're involved in. If you're interested, stop me and talk to me. We'd love to have more of you participating in APWG. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Aguila for a minute. He's going to talk about the new foundation we set up last year.
Okay, thank you, Foy. Well, we set up a foundation in Europe, thinking in many different questions. The major one was the globalization question. As John explained it, when I started with that, I started as a user, so I was a member of the APWG, defending the interest of a private bank, that is the third bank, the major bank in Spain, and I was the founder of the Computer Security Incident Response Team. When we got the first cases of phishing, we start to deal with that, and we get a lot of problems because all this was global. So was the different pages, the fake, the DNS, everything involved with the phishing was in different countries with different cultures, different languages, different law enforcement, so it was very difficult to deal with that. And the only way we found was the collaboration. Thinking on that, the APWG that wants to be globally started to create chapters in different regions. One is Europe, another one is Asia, and so Foy offered me to participate on this, and I have taken this offer to start this new foundation in Europe. The reason is in Europe, the community do the research following different rules coming from the different regulations from the European Commission. So to be part of the research in Europe is necessary to be part of the European Commission. And this is the reason why we have created this foundation in Spain. The other question that there was a lot of private companies like my bank and other sectors that are suffering problems with phishing, with fraud, etc., tricking their customers that they're really interested into developing this chapter and are helping us in different manners. Well, here is a little explanation about the activities. We develop R+D activities in consortium with other organizations, universities, law enforcement, R+D centers or private companies, focusing in different topics that are of interest of different countries and companies. So we create groups of working that normally participates the governments, private companies, universities, and we try to get funds from the European Union to develop these research programs focused on phishing or on botnets or questions related with phishing or fraud. Another thing we are focusing is to create a European trust network. I mean, the collaboration is basic to solve that crimes. The ways we use is we start this knowing persons, getting trust with that persons, and then create tools together. And now we are developing a repository common that will be for many different participants of different countries, and the profiles will be private companies, will be people that are victims of phishing, and the law enforcement itself. So everyone can take the information they need to develop its activities. For us it's more technical, so we talk on DNS, we talk on IPs, we talk on technical questions, but the police needs to identify, needs to put a face and an eyes after these IPs, after these activities. And only with that collaboration we are able to arrive and take these people and stop the crime. Another question that is interesting as well is we organize twice events per year in Europe. The first one has been in my city, in Barcelona, in Spain. The next one is in Bratislava, where we share tools, we share information about all the things we are dealing, etc. And finally, this is a fast look on the research information. So we do research in authentication systems, not only in banking, in other industries that need authentications that for developing its activities, that can be medical, for example, or chemical. We have programs of security dissemination information, like the Stop Think Connect, that probably my colleague will explain later. Security of mobile systems and cloud security. And I pass the micro to Foy.
Thanks, Jorge. Thank you. So from there, like we said, that was just kind of to brief you on some of the stuff we do, what we're working on. Want to focus a little bit more today on some of the big questions we look at. And one of the major roles APWG's looked at is this problem of how do we deal with cybercrime as a group, and how can we respond in a unified authority, and how can we move forward? What are some things we can do? We kind of call this data logistics. So optimization of processes to manage this data, move it through a responder network so that we can act on it and react and get things done, find these, take down URLs, take down sites, help as a community to focus on these problems. So this is some of the things I'm going to talk about here. We're going to look mainly at the top 4. Below are some of the ones I'm not going to spend time on today. The Stop, Think, Connect messaging convention is a user awareness program. We'll a little bit about the phishing repository and block list, our electronic e-crime exchange program, and then our malicious domain suspension system. So Stop, Think, Connect is a, we're kind of going back here. Everybody kind of is telling the same message. Standardizing our message that we send to our users. Telling our users, one of the biggest problems most of us know, the biggest weakness we have in our systems are our end users. Mentioned earlier, all these big attacks we see, somebody clicked on a link and filled out a form they shouldn't have done, and now we've got, the miscreant has their password, has their ID, and now they can get into our infrastructure. That's really what the Stop, Think, Connect program is revolving around. Everybody telling the same message. As a whole, the system develops training materials, awareness information, multiple languages. It's available for free. You sign up online, and all of the materials are available for you as long as you use them not to sell products. You use them to raise the awareness level of your users. Like I said, they are available in multiple languages. In the Asia Pacific area right now, Japan has adopted the program. It's available at stopthinkconnect.jp. Within the European Union, we support, I think we've got the 5 different languages there available. We've also got Russian available for tips and tricks and stuff. We're partnering with different countries around the world. Mostly in South America, Europe, and North America. Hopefully, with the adoption within Japan, we can start expanding more here within the Asian Pacific region. If you're interested, we're looking for help to do some translations. I would love to add more languages to the list to make it more beneficial to a broader audience. Initially we set this up with 20 big companies, AT&T, Comcast, ESET, several different groups. Cisco was actually stepped up and did all the translation for the first 5 languages. Basically what happens, you have the programs available. There's stuff for teachers they can use to teach their children or their students in classes. There's programs targeted more at employees, and it's all available for you. We do ask that if you develop any additional materials that you put them back into the system to make them available to the broader audience. The next thing I want to talk about is our e-crime exchange. So back initially in 2003, when we first set this up, Dave and a couple of developers built a system to gather up data, mostly phishing URLs. What we did a couple of years ago is expand that system and build a UI on top of it. So we have an exchange where we as a community can come in, we have access to the data, and we can work together. So exchange the data programmatically, consolidate it, make it useful to everybody, and allowing us as a group, the white hats, the good guys here, to kind of gang up on the bad guys for a change. The phishing repository portion, this is what we call the UBL, the URL block list. They said this has been going for, since 2003 when we first started collecting data. The current version has data in it going back to about 2008, 2009. 8.5 million historical entries. Most of this data comes in from several different sources. Okay, within our member community, they push data into the program. We also accept data from the public. Anybody can take, they get a phishing email, they can report it, forward it to report phishing at APWG. It goes into the system. It goes into the back end, we process it, again, working with our members, and then out of that we create a list of malicious URLs. They're ranked by percentage of what we think is their availability. So you may get a 50% if it came from a public source and it looks like a phishing site, but this isn't somebody that we can confirm that we vetted as an APWG member, it'll get a 50%. If it's a machine-driven system, we've got several members that have systems that just patrol emails, suck them out, and then stick them in, it gets a 90%. If it comes from one of our members, or if I go into the system and put a URL in, one of our members goes in and puts a URL in, it's automatically at 100%. And then the back-end system consolidates those and ranks them and pushes them back out. We've got an API you can use. This thing is constantly updated. If I send a URL in right now, within a couple of minutes, it's out to the system, and our members have it available to them. From that, we've also developed the Accredited Reporter System. So with the ECX and the UI that we've developed on it, so now you can get in, you can search, maybe you can set up a group. I'm Caixa Bank, I can set up a search algorithm that'll automatically, any URL that comes into the system that's targeting the brand for Caixa Bank, it automatically goes into that group and I'll receive them directly, I can get a notice. We've also set up a program where APWG accredits members. So maybe I'm a smaller organization and I can't justify spending, $7,500 a year to join the organization at the sponsoring level and have access to everything. But I want to be able to, for my company, for my small bank or my credit union, I want my security team to be able to put data into the block list and into our infrastructure. So this program, we only charge like $1,000 a year for one person to be able, that we vet. Once we meet with you and we know who you are, we know this person, we allow them access to the system, and then they can go in and add entries directly in. We actually recently, and this group actually came in at a higher level, it wasn't the accredited level, but they were having a lot of problems. Big company, small security group. Nobody wants to invest in security until they have a problem, right? So they were having a lot of issues. Because where do we run into? Any of us that have dealt with trying to get a site or a URL listed, who do you know? Okay, what country is this site being hosted in, and who do you know there? How do we get it taken care of? If I don't happen to know somebody that works at that CERT in that country, or works at that company that's hosting it, I can't get anything done. They came to us through one of our members who they had ran into at a meeting, joined. We gave them a 30-day free to get in and learn the system. And all of a sudden they saw that when they would put a URL in or they had a problem, something was taking days or weeks. Now within minutes, a URL was blocked by the major browsers. So it works. And this is where we have to work together, but we need more, the more of you that participate, the more vetted members that are putting good quality data into the system, the better it is for everybody. So hopefully we can keep pushing that forward. The new system that we've been working on, this is another problem we run into again. How do we get things taken care of when we have a problem if we don't happen to know somebody? Is the malicious domain system. So this is a system we built working with some different registrars, or registries. Yeah, I have to always think twice. To actually take malicious domains out of the DNS. Unfortunately, one of the biggest registries out there, after we built the system, their lawyers went, no, you can't participate, so that got kind of pushed to the side. But right now we do have 12 registries we're working on, and we're actually revving the product to go to allow registrars as well to participate. But this is an independent system that we've built. It's been vetted so that we take members that come in, we look at them, and we talk to them about how do we get things done. And then they are vetted and can go in and tag malicious domains. So instead of taking days or weeks, one of the, people say, we get these sites down, people don't click on these links. Richard Clayton had some research last year, or just in Barcelona when we were there a few months ago, was saying that 50% of the people that click on a malicious link do it after the site has been up for 24 hours. And that most of these sites are up for weeks. Using a system like this, which is similar to something Russia actually just set up a new program where they have a third party that vets and contacts the NICs and the certs and tries to get sites taken down. This is kind of a similar thing. So here's an independent body. You can get registered. They can go in and put them, and the sites are automatically pushed back out to the registries and registrars to get them taken down. It's digitally signed, so we've got a record of what's happened. The registry and registrar is actually responsible for the process. So it's just creating a process where you've got an accredited individual that we've vetted. So if you're company A and you receive this report as a registry authority, you don't have to worry about, well, who is this person? Do I know them? Where did they come from? My phone's ringing. Well, I don't know. That could be his competitor just trying to get his site taken off the web so he can do more business. You don't have to worry about that because we've already vetted it, and they've signed this attestation that says, here's 7 things I've already proven that this is not a legitimate company, there's nothing malicious content, and then you can take this site down without worrying about it so much. So the big objectives here: enhance the speed and scalability so we can get these sites off quick. The majority of users click on a site within the first 2 hours or after 24 hours. So the sooner we can get it down, obviously, the more people we can protect. And provide formal tracking, everything's in the system, and accurate accountability and transparency. So this is just talking about, you've got a vetted system. I've kind of gone through most of this already, haven't I? Your interveners, they have credibility because we've already vetted them. Benefits the registry and registrars because they don't have to know who it's coming from. They have confidence, and hopefully we can get these criminal domains taken off the system. It's purely for malicious registered domains, and it has to be criminally abusive. A domain name exclusively for the animation of fraud, to steal or co-opt funds or personal data, to perform fraud and theft. I mentioned the registry owner. Like I said, I'm kind of rushing here. We're doing pretty good, actually. Registry owns the process. APWG is not taking down the sites. We're not pulling them off the DNS. That's the responsibility of the registry or the registrar. But the confidence level from their side is they've received this and it's already been as vetted. Hopefully going forward, we get more people using it so we can produce more metrics. Like I said, we've got a limited number now. We're going to start pushing out and letting registries participate as well, or registrars. We're talking to a couple of the biggest registrars around right now. Once we get version 2 ready, they're going to start participating, and that'll expand our reach since we lost .com. Hopefully once we get the system running and I can show some metrics and I can go sit down with .com and say, look what's going on here, and you don't want to play with us, you need to talk to your lawyers, we can shame them into participating. I want to be able to show a list of, here's the registries and registrars that support most of the malicious domains. You shouldn't be working with them. You shouldn't be using them because they're bad. But I need stats, and so we got to get more people using the system. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Foy and Jorge. Well, we're actually good with the time, so if you have any questions that you want to ask now, please approach the microphone. Anyone? Okay.
Hello, I am Adil Sadiq. I am a young fellow from Pakistan. My question is regarding phishing. Let's suppose I opened up a page, facebook.com, I entered my username and password, and bang, I shouldn't have done that. But how I'm gonna recognize that that page is a scam in the first place? Are there specific signs and symbols that I'm looking at this page must be a scam and this is a legitimate? Can you please give us a brief outline of some specific things that will tell us that this page is a legitimate or that is a phishing page? Are there any some specific signs and symbols that are used in most of the pages that are scams, that are not real, or something like that? How I'm going to recognize that the page I opened is a scam page or it is an original page? How, as a person, I am going to recognize that?
Okay, so in order to participate as an accredited intervener, that's what we call them. Part of our accreditation process is determining that, you have the technical background to look at a site and determine whether this is actually bad content or good content. One of the check marks that you have to select before you sign the attestation is that you've looked up the company and verified that they're not a legitimate organization. You've looked and seen this is malicious content on the server, and that you've vetted that there is no legitimate content. Because there's a difference between a malicious domain and a legitimate domain that's been compromised. So if somebody has compromised my personal site, that's not eligible for suspension. That's an instance where we put it into the UBL, because it's going to have a URL that's a malicious URL, but the domain itself is not malicious. So that's where the two systems vary. The block list is for malicious URLs. So we've got malicious content hosted on a legitimate domain. The AMDOS system is for malicious domains. These are things that should be taken off the DNS, not necessarily just blocked so a user can't get to the malicious content. Did that answer? Close? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so now for our last final speaker, Kitty Sak is the Information Security Specialist at Electronic Government Agency, or EGA, which is under the Ministry of ICT in Thailand. So he will be speaking about securing the e-gov in Thailand.
Thank you, Shiver. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the last topic for the security session. And my name is Kitty Sachirangun from EGA. The topic today, I would like to share you about how do we secure our e-government. So maybe you might know, the GOTH domain were hacked and use it to publish phishing site, or use it to spread the malware or botnet. So this is just like a lesson learned of us to use this. So the topic today, I will cover about our services that we try to improve the security for the government of Thailand. So first of all, I would like to explain you about EGA, my organization. EGA stands for Electronic Government Agency Public Organization. First established in 1997 as Government Information Technology Services, or GITS. Right now, we have around 200 staffs. And our vision is enabling complete and secure e-government. We provide a lot of services. For example, GIN or GIN stands for Government Information Network, Government Cloud Services or G-Cloud, and Government Computer Emergency and Readiness Team or G-CERT. And the first three items, I will explain you more detail. For the Mailgo Thai service, this is the service that we provide email system for the government. Government App Center We provide the market for the government who want to share their own mobile application. It looks like a Play Store or App Store from Apple. And also we have a project that we try to collect the information or data from all government of Thailand to come to share together, and we do the analysis. We call this project is government big or open data. And also the new project that we are doing is that is National Data Center. We try to make the data center standard for the government who want to have their own data center. They have to follow by this standard. And about actually this is just example. You can see more detail at our website. So this picture shows you about the relationship among our services and security team or G-CERT. You can see GIN 2.0, this is the project that we provide the link for the government. We make the government or the government connected together. And also we provide G-Cloud. That means the government can have their own server on our system. We can control the security of the government by using two services. About the GIN project, before, in the past, the citizen who want to access the government, they have to access each by each government organization. But if we have GIN, we try to provide the link to make the citizen can connect to the government securely, because we can control the communication channel among inside the GIN network. So right now we have more than 2,000 links, and all of them are government. It is like an intranet for the all government organization. And also we have add-on services. For example, internet system or GIN conference. Some of organizations not in Bangkok, they located in another region in Thailand. They can have like a chair together among inside the government. So also we provide DNS and IPv6 already for GIN network. Next service, this is G-Cloud. G-Cloud stands for Government Cloud Services. Right now we focus on providing IDSIRTII infrastructure only. And we have more than 500 systems are running on G-Cloud. For next step of G-Cloud, we try to we will provide a back office system we call IDSIRTII. And also we have already Government Application Center or GAC. So our G-CERT team, we provide security on G-Cloud. We provide firewall. We provide next generation firewall and web application firewall. And also we have SSL VPN for managing cloud system. And also we have two-factor authentication for the customers. And also we do vulnerability assessment every month and consult them also. And we implement certified ISO 27001, and also we have IPv6 installed already. And we have security monitoring, and also we have training costs for the customer also. So right now, the challenge in Thailand that I mentioned you before, Thai government website infected by malware, or Thai government website were hacked. So you can see this kind of new in this recently. Why? The challenge is because of Thai government organization, we lack of experts. Of course, we have experts, but not enough. And also, we lack of budget. Maybe the budget for the IT security in Thailand, this is the lowest priority. They spend the budget for another thing, not for security. And also, in each organization, they have system more than administrators. Like one administrator manage more than 10 servers, something like that. And also the new technology is coming fast to make our people cannot understand the new technology. So that's why we established G-CERT to fight against the threat in Thailand. Our constituency, we focus on EGA internal system and also EGA services. But for the critical infrastructure in Thailand and other government are also constituency, but we have lower priorities. We have a concept. We use the concept PPP, public, private, and partnership. We help the government by working with the vendors and also have collaboration with other CERT and other IT communities. Our services, we divide our service into 3 steps: protect, detect, and respond. For protection, we do risk management for the government, and also we have a security design, and also we have vulnerability management for the government. For detection, we have threat monitoring 24/7, and also we have security operation. For the response, we have a response team. We do security consulting, and also we have security training and workshop and cyber drill also. This is an example for us that we provide IT security training for the government, training course, incident drills, and conference. More than 100 organizations in Thailand join in this project. So the last year, this is the statistic that we found the threat in our system. The first, this is a top 5 incident type. The first one is web compromise. And the second one is a suspicious activity, server compromise, and malware detected, and also information gathering. So you can see the web compromise is the most effective threat in Thailand. When we look into the web compromise, we can see the web defacement is one of the first priorities that we have to fix the problem. And also the injection is the second one. So web defacement, when we look down into the statistic, we found like GOTH and ACTH are the most number of defacement website. And also, not only that, we also working with the other communities. We built OWASP Thailand chapter. OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. We focus on developers and software testers to understand how to do secure coding. The second one is CSA Thailand chapter. CSA stands for Cloud Security Alliance. We focus on cloud service providers. 7600 Thailand chapter, we focus on students and people who are interested in security. And the last one is THNOC. I have a chance to have a meeting with THNOC starter group, and they are just starting, so I have no information much about the group. But if I have a chance next time, I will share you more. But they are working on that. So when I conclude my topic, even we contribute a lot of security, however, it is still not enough. Lacking of experts is one of the biggest problems for us. And I agree with Jody, Foy, and John about the collaboration. Collaboration is the key factor, and also we are looking for the new collaboration. And also for APWG and ICANN, I think our G-CERT and EGA will have a collaboration with them in the future. That's all my topic. Do you have any comment or questions?
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions? No? No questions about the implementation of the eGov? Okay, we still have plenty of time, so I think we will open up the floor. If you have any points of discussion that you wanted to raise, or any comments to all of our expert speakers while they are still here, well, particularly for John, because we didn't open up the questions earlier. So if you do have anything that you want to say on the microphone, please. How about any final, the usual, any final words?
Kitasak, I was just curious, what do you guys define as suspicious activities?
Suspicious activity is like some network activity that we cannot conclude this is malware or botnet or what kind of that. Sometimes like someone tried to bomb the email, but by not sending email, but try to do like a sending email, something like that. But like the activity that we cannot justify what is the threat on that. Yep, right. And some threat that like there is some software. They claim that they are not malware, but they do it like a malware. The activity of the software. Like for example, they try to connect to this server all the time, but they say this is this is the software, the good software, not malware, something like that. But they act like a botnet, something like that.
Thank you. Just to clarify the question we had before, I want to tell about a case we have had, a real case. We suffered an attack of malware, a very specialized malware coming from a region that is not important at all. But we tried to deal with the ISP, and we were getting positive response, but they taken down the domains, they taken down the pages, they do nothing. Finally, recommended by our lawyers, we have taken some view of the ISP, and we have made some investigations, and we found only fake domains that support child pornography, phishing pages, malware, etc. Was there any service that was legal? So in that case, was very clearly what was the activity of the ISP, so we started to fight with the help of the Interpol and the local police in that country, and finally we got some results and taken down the domains, etc. But it has taken at least 15 days of different actions until we get some results. No? And this is why we don't focus the domains that have some service and they have a fake page inside, because the ISP or the registrar can take action only for that fake page. But in case the domain only support this kind of illegal services, it's clear that the domain can be taken down. I hope this clarifies a little about your question.
Yeah, and further to that discussion, the differentiation that I talked about too between somebody who's had their page hacked and a URL added with farming, phishing, whatever it is, and a name that is only used for malicious purposes. That also happens with servers, right? We also see servers, actual machines inside ISPs that are purely for malicious purpose. How many people here work at ISPs, internet service providers? And how many of you get court orders or phone calls from law enforcement to remove servers or take down web pages? A lot of the time, law enforcement don't understand the nuances. So it's very important that you understand the differences between the types of abuse so that when law enforcement come to you, you can actually try and educate them. We spend a lot of time doing that. But that nuance between somebody whose website has been hacked, you have to remember they are the victim too. So, those nuances are very, very important. And as ISPs who are having to deal with law enforcement, etc., it's good to learn about those. And going to somewhere like APWG or Morgue is a good way to learn about those things.
Okay, thank you. Any other from the audience? Oh, if not, okay, there you go.
Hi, this is Yoshiro from .jp. I have a question about the APWG. So sometimes I hear some, activities for the malicious domain usage. For example, Secure Domain Foundation is an organization which working for the such activity against the such activities. So, do you have any distinct between Secure Domain Foundation and APWG, or do you have collaboration with them?
We work with them, but not direct association with the Secure Domain Foundation. Most of our data comes from our members themselves. So ours is always a collaboration between the different organizations to create this list of malicious URLs or malicious domains.
I think also APWG and Secure Domain Foundation are taking different approaches to similar problems. I know that at least some people from .jp come to ICANN meetings. The Secure Domain Foundation is going to hold a meeting at the next ICANN meeting in Dublin, I believe. They're going to do a few hours of discussion. They're really looking at trying to find other new technologies. APWG comes to these meetings. We do all talk to each other because we're all trying to solve very simple problems.
Yeah. I mean, that's where APWG has always said, none of us are going to be the sole solution to the problem. What we're trying to do is create collaborative work groups that we work together. So that's where we say, we've built these systems, but we as APWG can't can't provide the data without collaborative efforts from a broader audience. And that being our members, or that being the secure domain guys, that being shadow server folks. We all, the Mailgo group, we work closely with them. We each have our own spot, and we may focus on some different areas. But yeah, we do work together. We probably could do better in some areas, but that's where we need. We'd love to have .jp work closer with us directly. on some of this. You said, especially with like the domain takedown system, but we all know that this is a collaborative effort for all of us.
Anything else from you guys? Okay, so if there is no more, we would like to again thank our wonderful speakers. So if we can give them another round of applause.